let me set up what our plan is for today. So then she's going to pass it on to Chris Arnold and Srini Dusi from ConvaTec, and they're actually going to bring to light how they actually went through a selection process and how they're leveraging the Emagia solution today to really put them on a path to world-class performance. So really looking forward to the interaction today. Again, as Razi mentioned earlier, questions, and if you have them as we're going through, please leverage the tool, and we will monitor that. And we'd love to answer questions real time as opposed to the end. We do have a lot of content to get through, so we'll try to be really efficient with that. And again, I'm going to run the slides for all three of you today, and feel free to just give me guidance in terms of move forward, move back, and we'll make it a very interactive session. I'm going to pass it on to Chris and Srini, and let them share the story about ConvaTec and how they're leveraging technology to improve their process, and as well as share who ConvaTec is. So Chris, Srini, I'm so glad that you're both with us. I'm going to pass it on to you, and again, just give me guidance in terms of when to move the slides. Okay.
Okay. So I'm Chris Arnold from ConvaTec, and I'm a VP in the IT department. I report into our CIO. And one of my areas of responsibility is our customer support, or our back office systems. Also responsible for providing technical and system support for our current financial transformation that's going on at the company. So to introduce ConvaTec, we are a medical device manufacturer, been in existence for 40 some years. And we make 4 different categories of medical devices. All of these are what we call single-use disposable devices. So, it's not like a device like an X-ray machine. It's something you typically apply to your patient, and then once it's used, it's thrown away and replaced with a new one. So we have one area which is advanced wound care. These are wound care products that will enhance the care of a chronic wound, something that a gauze bandage would not really suffice. These bandages are designed to promote the healing of the wound and typically do not need a change for multiple days. And we also have an Ostomy Care. These are, colostomy bags, urostomy bags, which is one of the original products of our company. We have a continence care line, which is largely catheters. And then at last, we have what's called infusion care, which are needle sets that are used to infuse drugs. And typically it's used with diabetic pumps, insulin pumps. So actually, we don't make the pump, we make the attached tube and needle that will connect to your body. So it says, our vision here is, pioneering trusted medical solutions and improving the lives of the folks that use them. And our values are listed. Very important part of our company, our values and how we treat our customers and patients. Looking at the size of our company, we are a $2 billion almost company. We have locations in legal companies in about 50 markets, and we distribute to over 100. And are very much an international business. So in terms of a global model, that's definitely us. We have business all over the place. So we have undergoing a financial transformation. This is a project we started a couple of years ago. Our operating model for finance was very disjointed. We had some processes outsourced globally, some insourced regionally, some still being done locally. Really a mismatch. We had very little system and automation. Most of this financial processes, except for our SAP system, were largely done manually. And in relation to order to cash, I think we had a couple small systems in certain areas, but they were not global in nature. So the idea was we want to transform this whole area, to simplify it, to centralize it, to standardize it, and to automate it. And so we are in the middle of that process. We have opened a global delivery center for finance in Lisbon, Portugal. We've been hiring folks there, and transforming and moving, that centralization process. At the same time, we have been deploying multiple systems. In the case of order to cash, on the finance side, we have deployed Emagia. We did a pilot back in, I don't know, maybe I think it was July-ish, and we've still in the process of implementing it, but we have a large portion of the company done, North America, most of Europe, and some of our Asia Pac companies. We plan to continue to deploy it over the next 4 or 5 months to have it pretty much deployed in most of our global companies. Order to cash transformation goals. I think I'll turn this over to Srini, who's our business process lead for order to cash. Srini, you want to start really going into the order to cash side?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Srini. I'm the process owner for order to cash at ConvaTec. So basically, our main transformation goals were to actually set up a GBS operations at Lisbon and train them. Brand new office starting from zero, and also we had IBM BPO basically, and who were managing our collections and cash applications process. So we wanted to bring them in-house into GBS, and also we needed the transformation to basically be to increase the performance. As Chris mentioned, we have SAP, and things are pretty much manual in nature, and very little automation was done in SAP. And also we wanted it to be a scalable product and to be rolled out easy to use and cloud-based basically. And as you can see here, cash application was our top requirement, along with collections, dispute resolution, and also the cost of AR operations to be reduced by 40%. So these were our main goals while deciding on the transformation goals. So when we saw Emagia, and we did a pilot in June last year, we implemented initially in a few countries, and then we saw that Emagia was able to provide the level of automation and the level of the AI-based tools that Emagia had in order to achieve our goals. So it provided like one platform to actually manage the complete AR solutions. And we used our receivables, collections, deductions, cash applications. Pretty much this was planned for us to integrate into SAP and use this, use Emagia. So our plan was initially, the pilot phase was the phase 1 with countries Italy, Spain, and Portugal. In phase 2, we had a lot more countries, various languages, Czech, Polish, German, Dutch. And then our phase 3 was US and Canada. And then phase 4 is LATAM, which is currently in progress. And then the future phase, like Chris mentioned, is for Asia Pacific. So overall, a 15-month journey in the 5 phases. Currently, we are in phase 4. So basically, the primary phases were basically gathering requirements as to what the local markets need. Each country has different requirements. There are some legal aspects which we need to consider, and the language requirements, currencies, tax requirements, reporting requirements. So all the requirements gathering, then build and test phase. In this case, design, build, and test phase, where a design is agreed, built, and then unit tested basically, and then also tested by an acceptance testing, user acceptance testing. Then there is a deployment, where is a go live and cutover, where data is migrated, transactions are migrated. And then, of course, we have a hypercare support, which goes for 3 to 4 weeks depending on the market size, to support the business on any kind of issues, either it is data issue or any bugs, basically. Now, COVID as a pandemic hit us when we were in the prime of the implementation. And I don't know, Chris, if you want to add and chip in here. There was a big risk here, and we did have a lot of assessment. Should we actually stop the program or should we continue? Because the teams were all distributed across the world. Markets are distributed, implementation teams are distributed. And obviously, all the teams are working remotely from home. ConvaTec IT teams were working from home. Emagia implementation team is spread across in the US, in India, and IBM teams were also spread out. Um, so I don't know, Chris, maybe you can help me out here with this decision making over COVID.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we had two major risks, I think, identified. One was essentially we were re-engineering our organizational structure at the same time we're implementing systems. So ultimately, the folks that we started with, who helped us decide, select the solution and start to build the solution out, were not the same people who were going to use the solution. They hadn't been hired yet. So there was some risk. We made the decision that we could manage that risk, which actually has been a bit of a challenge, but we have done it. Second was an unforeseen risk with COVID. And after discussion and evaluation, it was decided we would continue to build our delivery center in Lisbon and deliver these solutions. I think that the capabilities of the remote solutions today have been excellent in this. And because we're an international or global company, we are already used to dealing with folks not all in the same place, so we were kind of already a company that was familiar with working on a global basis without having to travel as much, because traveling is an expensive way to communicate. So ultimately it worked out. We have opened the center. We have, I don't know, 100 plus folks in the center operating today. We have the systems up and running, and most of the folks in Lisbon have not actually physically met face to face yet. There was been challenges with that, but honestly, it really was well managed. So we were very good at identifying risk and eliminate those risks with mitigations. So, on top of a large transformation, we've actually successfully continued through a global pandemic, and we are relatively on course to where we were planning to be.
All right, thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, now coming to the global AR process transformation journey. So the main portfolios, as you know, the AR process is mainly cash applications, collections, and dispute management. These were our three main areas with Emagia. Cash applications, obviously, percentage of cash automatically matched, handling payers and payees, and of course, identifying various parent-child scenarios. Collections management, looking to standardize collection strategies by customer classification, I would say, or customer grouping, the types of customers along with the risk categories associated with them, driving higher automations in terms of sending reminder letters, dunning letters, probably also capture promise to pays from customers, which enables cash forecasting. And also most important for collections is multi-language support, because the dunning letters and the statements would go in the languages certain countries would only use the local language. Dispute management, quite interesting. Cycle time for dispute resolution was one of the key concerns. And also there was some, when we started, there were some control issues as well, and risks. And also the analysis of the root cause of the dispute was quite distributed across various teams. So coordinating with those teams on a single platform, that was a challenge, because these were, traditionally done on emails and phone calls. And then, of course, automated credit and debit matching was also another part. So these were the key requirements in these portfolios, and Emagia provided the right mix of technological elements which helped us to achieve these to a great extent. So ConvaTec GBS Global AR portfolio, the global AR views. So mainly it's integrating Emagia with customer master data. So all the SAP information from of the customers we have integrated successfully into Emagia. And secondly, we are able to consolidate the AR statements for customers. We have the invoices and also the disputes and payments information for all the customers available in via integration with our SAP, which is our main ERP for transactions and master data. Then, so the integration of master data and the AR with SAP, that was a big achievement in this implementation, although it took us some time, but we figured out and the integration worked quite well. One is master data interface to SAP, and also all the OpenAR interface into SAP on a daily basis. This enables basically the customer master into SAP on a daily basis. So any changes that happen come into SAP, which actually drive all the collection and cash application activities. Now, I'm going to take you through the order to cash, the three portfolios, which I said: cash applications, collections, and disputes management. So I'm going to show you the before state and basically the after state after implementing Emagia, and then you can clearly see what the differences are. So as mentioned earlier, highly manual process in SAP, and low level of accuracy in cash application process. I wouldn't, so basically everything was manual in terms of it's dependent on people, which would probably lead to delays in applying cash. And also there was low penetration and remittance advice in multiple languages actually, which is what made it like people dependent. And as you can see, the automation which we had before was at this stage in various markets, which was not great, I would say, at the start. So we implemented Emagia, where we have used AI-driven technology, which Veena had mentioned, and the system learns itself. And also we were able to actually implement debit card, credit card, ACH, wire, checks, and other payments. And also we had remittances via emails and PDFs, and also bank statements. We did the BA 12, MT 940, and others. And also Emagia can read 15 languages. And basically the open AR invoices from SAP, the bank statements, and the remittance, all the three combined would result in auto match results. So either we would have a match status where the matching is straightforward. You have an invoice, you have a payment, and it is matched, or it is unmatched where the customer could be identified, but the invoices couldn't be identified. And the third is unidentified, where even the customer is not identified. Okay, so these are three match statuses that we would have. And when the cash application representatives log into Emagia, they would clearly have dashboards to see these three things and actually go straight into unmatched and start working on them. And there are lots of tools, and also there is an AI assisted tool with Gia, which helps the cash app rep and the customer to actually work together to get the matching done. And also, as I told you, the system learns automatically and also applies the matching results. So the cash application after state, as you can see in the graph here, the auto match percentage obviously significantly increased in the last few months. And as you know, it's a continuous process. When we started implementing, it was at 30%. And then with various learning tools and with the various rules which we have implemented, and people getting used to the system, the match percentage is the auto match percentage has gone up, and it is still a continuous drive to actually improve the percentage. So thank you. So the next is the collections. So basically in collections, the major challenge was there was no global visibility of the receivables portfolio. There was no proper invoice distribution capabilities. No proper collections forecasting was available. A highly disconnected collections process between the IBM, BPO, and ConvaTec collection teams and sales teams. AR Collect was a tool that was deployed in all medium and large scale countries. There was no account prioritization and clear escalation metrics. And also there was no automatic dunning and notices to the customers and customer statements. So everything was manual. Considering the large number of customers in some of the markets, everything was basically quite manual and quite tedious. And I would say that there was not a lot of coverage in terms of collection before we started implementing. As you can see, the on-time payment from customers in some of the markets in 2019 were approximately 60-65%, as you can see. Now, what we achieved after implementing Emagia, we have a full visibility of global receivables portfolio. Once you log into Emagia, you have a complete visibility of any customer in any country, what the customer owes us and how long it has aged. As a result of implementing about 60 complex collection strategies, there is a clear prioritization for the collection tasks for collectors. So basically, these strategies were based on the risk category of the customer, the aging of the invoices, the open AR, and also customer grouping, types of customers. So based on these criteria, we were able to define some collection strategies for various countries where collections could be automated, and the strategies actually drive sending of the dunning letters, sending of the statements to the customers, which has actually achieved a lot of FTE benefits because sending statements is a very tedious task if done manually, and also sending dunning letters where customers are overdue. And automatic dunning notices have been implemented. Automatic statements have been implemented where the system sends statements on a particular working day of the month. Different countries have different requirements. They have been catered for different languages, and total FTE for collections was reduced from 25 to 14 due to the automations achieved, like I mentioned. Collection efficiency has increased by 25%, like you can see, as I showed you in the previous slide. In 2019, the on-time payment by customers was this, and in 2020, after implementing Emagia, a significant increase in the collections. I would say it's purely because of more coverage and more customers seeing the statements, getting dunning letters. As a result, we are getting more on-time payment from the customers. Disputes management. So disputes, as I said, there was no visibility at a global level on what the disputes situation is. There was no visibility of receivables portfolio also, and then the reason I cover receivables here is because collectors didn't have visibility of the invoices which were under dispute. So the customers which we had disputes with, and that would waste a lot of time collectors trying to chase customers where invoices were on disputes. There was not a single place to record the disputes. Disputes were being managed in a software called ZenShare, and ZenShare we had limited licenses. ZenShare was good to record the disputes, but the workflow was quite basic, and there was no automation in terms of integration with SAP, where a dispute would automatically convert into a credit or a debit. Long turnarounds for dispute resolution, hence delay in collections, because as I said, the dispute resolution was based on analyzing what the dispute is actually about, and various teams like the pricing team, the sales team, the warehouse, the 3PL partners, the logistics partners. So everybody were involved, and along with collections. So connecting with all these people and then finally getting a dispute through into a credit would take a long time. because it's not one single platform. Again, I already mentioned collection teams didn't have visibility of disputes, and there was no single place for auditing how a dispute started, what are all the investigations that were done, which are the people who were involved in approving the dispute, and finally, into the reports. So there was no single stop shop for auditing disputes. After implementing Emagia, we have visibility of receivables. Emagia is one-stop shop record for disputes. All the disputes are recorded in Emagia. In Emagia, it's now seamlessly, possible to actually interact with all the teams within Emagia. They can put in their comments. All the comments are dated and ready for auditing. And you can see a complete audit history of approvals and comments and attachments. And it's a one place where the entire journey of the dispute from its beginning to the end, whether it's rejected or whether it's approved, and then it turns into a credit. Another achievement is Emagia is integrated into SAP, where if a dispute is approved, it goes and directly creates a credit in SAP. I would like to share something which I've not put on this slide, but in ConvaTec, we class disputes mainly into two categories: a price dispute and a returns dispute, where a price dispute is where the customer is challenging on the price, where a special agreed price with the customer is not shown on the invoice. And the second type is basically a returns, where either it's a short delivery, or whether it's a defective element, or whether something has been damaged in transit. So where the customer would expect a return and a credit. And sometimes if it's a price dispute, it's only a credit. So both those types of disputes, we were able to integrate into SAP, where a return is created in SAP as a result of approval of dispute in Emagia, or a credit is created in SAP as a result of the approval. So this was again a big achievement, because from a controls, risk and compliance perspective, this was a big achievement in controls, because whatever is approved in Emagia, touchlessly it goes and creates the credit in SAP for the same amount. So you're not handling anything manually here. So that was one good thing. And collaboration with various teams now in Emagia. Next, as Veena explained, reporting dashboards are available in Emagia. We also have Power BI, where we are building dashboards. It's in process, but we do have Power BI for reporting, and Emagia also provides lots of reports for. Now, this is ConvaTec order to cash performance. This is from the so here, if you can see, as a result of obviously the transformation which ConvaTec is going through in 2020, strategic AR contributions, you can see the balance sheet strengthening, decreasing DSO, increase in cash on hand. This has been proved in various reports, and also cost reduction in operations, controls, and compliance in operations, basically. Next.
All right. Well, I know we're at the top of the hour. Srini and Chris, that was really interesting to learn how you've leveraged Emagia and the results that you've received. So I know we're at the top of the hour. Rosie, were there any questions that came in that we can take real quick?
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions only.
Okay.
So approximately, this is at ConvaTec, approximately what is the volume of transactions, customer payments received on a monthly basis?
So customer payments received, I would say, is about 100,000 a month.
Okay. And then a second question, how many bank accounts have you got?
What, around 18 bank accounts?
More than 18. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, good questions, because complexity is always a factor.
Of course.
Yeah. And can the system handle the complexity of a business? Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I think on one of the things I would absolutely like to add is the way the ConvaTec team, right through the pandemic, managed 4 different phases and global implementation, over 50 different countries. Again, with totally new teams operationally, and totally new IT teams. So that was a fantastic execution from the ConvaTec team, the way they've carried this out. So Chris and Srini, I'm sure can share lot more information on the project execution, just the way they've handled the overall execution process of this order to cash transformation.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is really informative. So I want to thank all three of our speakers, Chris and Srini, today. Really appreciate it. If we do have any follow-up questions, we'll certainly reach out to you. But I want to thank everyone for participating today. I know when you do close out on the Zoom, there'll be still, of course, we're always looking for great stories. So, all of the members of Hackett Advisory, if you want to share your story, please let us know about that. But I want to thank everybody for joining today. Please have a great Monday and a great rest of your week. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Thanks,
Brian.
everyone. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Thank you all.